in Nigeria's interest. In a statement, the service acknowledged that while peaceful protest is a democratic right of citizens, it confirms a sinister plan by some element to infiltrate the protest and use it to cause chaos and extreme violence in the land. It has also identified the reason behind the protest to be political and the plotters desire to use the intended violent outcome to smear the federal and subnational governments, thereby making them unpopular and pitch them against the masses. The long-term objective the TSS confirms is to achieve a regime change, especially at the center. The statement adds that the service has also identified, among others, the funding lines, sponsors, and collaborators of the plot. However, it does not think that aggression should be the first line of action in the instance in handling the emerging scenario. It has instead applied non-kinetic and conflict resolution strategies, including moral persuasion, stakeholders' engagement, and other multi-track diplomatic shuttles to dissuade the planners from actualizing their undesirable objective. While the different levels of government have routinely explained their agenda to ameliorate alleged harsh economic conditions, the service urges the prospective protesters to listen to the voice of reason, good conscience, and patiently engage with the authorities in the interest of peace. This has become important given that violence begets destruction of lives and property as well as serve as a distraction to governance. The agitators are encouraged to use other venues available to them to channel their grievances without resorting to violence. The federal government says its immediate agenda is directed at tackling the current food crisis in the country, with focus on supporting the agricultural sector in the fight to reduce food prices. Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister of the Economy, Wale Edun, gave the emphasis while updating the media on the country's economic journey and prospects in 2024. Nneka Oko reports.
Nigeria's economy has faced significant headwinds in recent months, with concerns over inflation, escalating food prices, currency fluctuations, and impact of global factors. The urgency of the situation necessitates swift action, and the government acknowledges the need to move quickly.
Despite the difficulties, the economy in Nigeria grew faster in the first quarter of 2024 compared to 2023. Non-oil revenue was 68% higher than in the previous period.
To address the current food insecurity, the minister said governors have been provided with 20 trucks of rice per state, in addition to food reserves being released.
There's a strategic import program in the very short term, and that program involves bringing in agricultural raw materials for millers, for food processors, whether wheat, maize, even brown rice, which can be milled by the millers locally.
He described the current surge in inflation driven by the high cost of living as an anticipated consequence of the necessary economic reforms implemented by the present administration, which he said are crucial for the country's growth.
The debt of Nigeria is down in dollar terms. And it matters. We are an economy that earns dollars through oil revenue. And that is what the rating agencies and others do look at. The government has diligently serviced all its loans and obligations with no recourse to ways and means financing.
The minister is optimistic that the country will witness significant economic improvements with the faithful implementation of the Accelerated Stabilization and Advancement Plan. Nneka Oko, NTA News.
Trade Union Congress of Nigeria has warned against possibility of the planned nationwide protests being hijacked by hoodlums and calls on the country's security agencies to ensure adequate security to protect life and property of Nigerians. President of the union, Festus Osifo, who gave the warning during a press briefing in Abuja, says the union is a party to the protest. Joseph Hudson reports.
It is a briefing that centers on trading issues in the country. The planned nationwide protests, 70,000 naira new national minimum wage, and rhetoric making the rounds about Dangote refinery. TUC President Festus Osifo, while acknowledging the fundamental rights of citizens to protest, warned that such protests without a face may have mischiefs with hidden motives of causing destruction with heavy toll on the downtrodden.
When it degenerates to chaos, when it degenerates to violence, when hoodlum, hijack such protests, it may lead to several issues. And part of those issues will also be vandalization that we have also observed. And in most cases, people that are vandalized are downtrodden Nigerians like you and I.
On the 70,000 naira new national minimum wage, Osifo says the organized labor arrived at the figure after basing its negotiation on the inflation rate.
We applied that of 2020, we applied that of 2021, we applied that of 2022, we did that up till 2024. And if you apply it, it will bring us to somewhere around 75,900 or thereabout. So that is when you compound the inflation figure.
The union believes that full implementation of the consequential adjustment by government at all levels will reduce hardship.
So from grade level 1 to grade level 17, apply the 133% equally. Yes, and across different steps. But at the end of the day, the agencies that is saddled with that responsibility will come out with what they think. But we will have those conversations with them. If they come out with a table that we think is not favorable to our members, we will also object.
The union is also concerned about the narrative surrounding the Dangote refinery, saying it is likely to scare investors and wants the federal government to address the issue head-on. In Abuja, Joseph Hudson, NTA News.
Governor Moino is calling on all the outgoing local government transition chairmen to ensure their full support for the candidates of the People's Democratic Party in their areas ahead of the local government election. The governor made this call during a meeting with the transition chairman held at the Ministry of Local Government and Chieftaincy Affairs. Uyo Kelvin Samuel reports.
Chairman Governor no commend him for the job done so far, assuring that his administration will continue to work with every one of them in different capacities. He notified them that the state is in receipt of 24,000 bags of 25 kg rice from the federal government and has added another 24,000 bags to ensure it covers more people at the grassroots.
We are sending them to you, to your local government, based on the number of gazetted villages, and he has it 2,272. Those are gazetted villages that the state has. By our calculation, each village will have 20 bags. So they will check and deliver. But please, we have to ensure that we finish sending these things to the various villages. However, you are.
The distribution of 20 bags of 25 kg rice to all the gazetted villages in the state is to commence from Friday, 26th of July 2024. In Uyo, Kelvin Samuel, NTA News.
In secondary schools across local government areas in the state have received farm inputs to boost food sufficiency in the state. The gesture is courtesy of the state government through the Ministry of Agriculture and Food Sufficiency. This will come in subsequent bulletin.
Of the statewide voters education at Mkwaeni local government area, Akwa Ibom State Director, National Orientation Agency, Mr. Mpotom says the agency will go round every part of the state with a message of peaceful participation in the forthcoming local government poll in Akwa Ibom.
We emphasize on the need for political parties to make sure they implement the principle of internal democracy to select the party candidates.
Mr. Mpotom, while addressing staff of the local government, also harps on the e-birth registration by the National Population Commission and National Identity Management Commission. According to him, the registration which is for children from 0 to 5 years, is to ensure accurate identification, while the birth certificate will be issued free from July to November this year.
They need to allow those volunteers who are going around the medical facility places so that they can be registered according to due processes.
Permanent Secretary, Bureau of Political and Social Reorientation, Akwa Ibom State, and others also shed light on the exercise.
Our job is that of sensitization, re-engineering the minds of the people to live their own ways and to embrace their own ways. What you've been experiencing in the past, in the form of thuggery, should no longer feature anymore.
The Chairman, Transition Committee in Bayanin reacts positively, assuring that the message will go to all villages in the rural community.
You can disagree, but without violence. Bayanin is positively, relatively peaceful for investors and every other thing.
National Orientation Agency says it remains committed to empowering people with knowledge and tools necessary to participate actively in the democratic process for the betterment of society. Etienne Ibanga, NTA News.
Apologize. That story is about the National Orientation Agency, where 2024 local government elections in Akwa Ibom State, National Orientation Agency is intensifying campaign on voters' education across 31 local government areas in the state. That's not all, because NOA is also scaling awareness on birth registration by the National Population Commission and the National Identity Management Commission. Thank you for being a part of our bulletin this morning. Emedi Omo is standing by for the news translation. Have a good day. Union Congress of Nigeria, Okay, Super Falcons, okay, Olympic. Kere adi sang iya reset ngire me kwang bak mbon teme adi dari niero nsan fana amma sno yo ekod me nkaw me ke irenyen ya ke krebo ke emem aba adai wor ke ebogodo Festus Osifo ake tangami na ake niere neme yemme akombo ya ko boyo mbo mi to kombo Nigeria etang ofon ana tembono we kpesong ngire me kwang isang iya reset amon awe niega kekere arina mi ebo kedina mami akeminam mbonwo edok esnekesat ndien esen fana edigiben mfana isok irenyen ebo ke mbonwo mi emesen fana mi ke ye biat mempo ukara ekebopoke ufon mbonowo ndien uforo yenkot iri doko abio nangakberok amma esen ebenge bo yak mbonowo esiongo idem ekpong ari sang iyare sremi edo yagammo eda mukara manatoro ebop idanyin ema dali niero etangi ko ebang usiagi fia ake dangote den ebo yak ukara esem ko ebanga manatoro ufuro yenkot adok oyoko kemi segem ko ebanga nangam ko bonu kekeminam mbone ekperok eri ben ufuro eri etemme efefenge ekpong idanyin Kebanga ke nduba melewo abigira itie usenefion du iswami ufo tome kote uki bibio NOA eka mention sion ko karakesterem
man eno ukpemkpo ebanga adina mado akombongen ayana myagidiongo sekene mebanga kedi ben ukpemkpo abanga kendutum ufigubak ngot mbono wo kenko kara nkparenin ekamba wo ke National Orientation Agency ete nkpoutum aboke ufoutum dimo eben ukpemkpo abanga kendutum ufigubak erok afritie kemme nko kara kesterem man bono wo ekene enam adinamado kemem ete mkpoutum na ketangiko ama aboke rose ntogojen emanake tiongoke iswake wo iswa ition enye ngweru senemana au fokutum asire mkpo ebanga ubarawo ebo yagenie denke ado adiwot nte mbono wo kere etongo ebo ke tongo eno ngwet usenemana ami tongo ke afyong ami sam afyong doboket iswami kedo kemfon adai wor ke nko kara nkparenin ama ko binemesat abanga adonamami anyobo ke etbomi ayasam afritie ke nko kara di imo ufo utomeko to NOA kibibio ebo ke mimo ibisokika kaiso adikanbo ke mbono wo eni fiok ekene ebwana ke adinam kere enamma ke abio manatoro uforo yenkot atrogobio mfon mi
ukangin tembong yen atrere ro bausanemi tutundubi etiesong